The premise of our modern digital existence is a tragic paradox. We built a machine designed to connect the entirety of human consciousness, and instead, we engineered the most efficient system for outrage and social division in human history. Every day, millions of people willingly engage in a collective ritual of rapid, uncontextualized judgment. We watch 15-second video clips of strangers and construct entire psychological profiles and moral indictments. We retreat into hyper-specialized digital niches where the vast complexity of the universe is flattened into a single recurring grievance. This is not a failure of human character. It is a failure of architectural design. We are running ancient tribal cognitive software on platforms optimized to monetize our adrenaline. To change the narrative, to rescue human empathy, diplomacy, and creativity, we cannot simply build a better digital platform. As research increasingly shows, we must recognize the limits of the screen and bring our most vital human interactions back into the physical offline world. To understand why the internet defaults to harsh judgment, we have to look at what the medium structurally removes from human interaction. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans primarily communicated in person. Our brains evolved a highly sophisticated biological toolkit to interpret meaning, microexpressions, eye contact, the cadence of a voice, the posture of a body, and the shared physical environment. These physical cues are the neurological triggers for empathy. They tell our nervous system, this is a complex living being in front of you. Digital platforms systematically strip these away. Relative to offline communication, online spaces provide fewer nonverbal cues and greater anonymity. The loss of vocal and physical paralinguistic cues fundamentally decreases our ability to accurately assess another person's true thoughts and feelings. Without tone, touch, or eye contact, online conversations lack depth, and our biological capacity to truly empathize is dulled. When a human being is reduced to a flat image or a block of text, they cease to be a person and become a symbolic prop. The brain, operating as a cognitive miser, craves simplicity and speed. It looks at the missing context and fills it in with stereotypes and assumptions. Furthermore, because algorithms actively reward moral outrage and high arousal emotions with visibility and social validation, judgment becomes gamified. Empathy is slow and nuanced. Outrage is fast and viral. As the broader internet has become overwhelming, many have retreated into hyper-niche communities and platforms. On the surface, this seems like a solution, a place to gather with like-minded people around a shared interest or philosophy. However, when these spaces remain entirely digital, they often mutate into cognitive monocultures. When a digital space is hyper-focused on a single worldview, it creates an echo chamber that algorithmically eliminates serendipity. In the physical world, even if you attend a meeting for a highly specific cause, you are subjected to the randomness of reality on the commute there, the varied weather, and the unpredictable side conversations that you may have. The digital niche filters out this glorious, messy randomness. This leads to a psychological trap known as audience capture. Creators and community members are rewarded exclusively for adhering to the group's narrow orthodoxy. Over time, they lose the capacity for lateral thinking, the ability to connect wildly different concepts to form a new idea. They begin to view the entire universe through the lens of their specific platform's topic. This hyper-specialization limits human creativity and shrinks our understanding of the universe. Just as a physical ecosystem becomes fragile and diseased when it is stripped of its biodiversity to grow a single crop, the human mind becomes rigid when it is fed only one type of contextual information. Researchers are beginning to define the psychological toll that this digital shift, or researchers are beginning to define the psychological toll of this digital shift as the disembodied disconnect. In person, face to face dialogue physically alters us. Studies show that communal rituals and physical presence create interbrain coupling and behavioral synchrony, which directly correlate with mutual understanding, prosocial behavior, and group cohesion. By contrast, digital interactions completely eliminate these physical dynamics. We are consuming high stress, emotionally volatile information while our bodies are completely sedentary, often sitting alone in a room staring at a piece of glowing glass. The nervous system absorbs the threat and the outrage, but the body is given no physical avenue to process or release it. We are disconnected from our own somatic reality. This disembodied disconnect divides us from the we mode, processes that are fundamental to actual social bonding in physical spaces. We are trying to build deep, empathetic communities using a tool that chemically and biologically isolates us. If the root of the problem is a disembodied context collapsed digital architecture, then the solution is not to fight the algorithm online. The solution is to step outside of it. The communities, platforms, and dialogues that matter most must be transitioned offline and into the physical world. Here's why bringing these spaces offline is the most radical and effective way to change the narrative. Offline connection grounds us somatically. When people gather in a physical space, especially when that space is integrated with the natural physical environment, the nervous system is allowed to co-regulate. The simple acts of breathing the same air, navigating the same weather, and making eye contact lower cortisol levels. We cannot heal digital dysregulation while remaining inside the machine that caused it. The internet demands instant reaction. The physical world demands patience. When you bring a community offline, you inherently slow down the pace of interaction. A conversation on a walk, over a shared meal, or during a physical activity allows for pauses, sighs, and reflection. This physical pacing forces our brains out of the reactive judgmental System 1 thinking and invites the deliberate empathetic System 2 thinking. You cannot doom scroll a face-to-face conversation. In an offline setting, a person cannot be reduced to a 15-second soundbite. You see their whole being, their hesitation, their warmth, their humor, their physical vulnerability. It becomes incredibly difficult to cast someone as a one-dimensional villain when you are physically standing next to them. The physical world inherently demands empathy because it forces us to deal with reality in all of its unfiltered complexity. Physical gatherings shatter the cognitive monoculture. An in-person gathering allows for the beautiful friction of reality. It requires systems thinking. When we physically interact with our environments and with each other, we are reminded that everything is connected. We are no longer staring at a single leaf under a digital microscope. We are standing in the forest, feeling the wind move through the canopy. We do not have to spend our lives acting as unpaid digital laborers, manufacturing outrage for an algorithm designed to keep us scrolling. We do not have to accept a reality where diplomacy is drowned out by exhibitionism and where the universe is shrunk to fit inside a niche echo chamber. We change the narrative by changing the venue, by taking our most important conversations, our niche interests, and our communities offline. We reclaim our biological right to empathy. We return to a state of embodied connection where people are allowed to be complex, where judgment is tempered by physical presence, and where our understanding of humans and the universe is allowed to be as vast, deep, and wild as the real world itself.